Today we're going to make a giant mess of the entire universe. And that all starts with our enormous planet circling its star. Now if we hold down left click, it goes faster and faster. Every time it circles we get 20 purple diamonds. I see that's our stamina running out. We don't have enough stamina to continually circle the planet. Luckily for us, we can add more planets. 150 of these bad boys, we get a new one. The next one costs 195. So now we have triple the income. Probably takes 3 times the stamina to whirl these bad boys, but I've got time if you do. So when they whirl by themselves, they get 15 diamonds per second. But we can also merge 3 planets into a new one, so we get a better planet name. This one is going to be Idiot. The first one is Moron. So our single red planet is earning us 15 per second. So if we add another new planet now and another new planet now, 25 per second. But since we have the other options, income is going up. So that actually added 1.5 per second, and over the next 45 hours, that's going to add up to a lot of extra money. And speed is pretty cheap at this point. 3% is also going to add up a great deal. We're up to 29 per second. Better make that 30. And then when we get the boost going, it goes up to about 45 per second. So going from Moron to Idiot, we've got a lot of planets to work our way through. I don't know if I have that many insults in my vocabulary. But I think the most efficient way to upgrade right now is to add planets. So we're going to merge those two together, so we got 2 reds and 1 blue, 42 per second. But we're not going to let that stop us. We're not going to upgrade our stamina yet because I don't want to manually actually do anything. I'm just here to wait a long time and watch the results roll in. But if I increase my income one more time by 3%, we're up to 51 per second. So that's going to start to add up quite quickly. And then if we spawn a new planet again, 57 per second. But then we can merge our 3 blues into 1 red, which leaves us at 57 per second still. But I'm a little worried about merging these 3 reds into the next one. Sometimes when we do that, it's actually a downgrade in earnings. And we're not actually allowed to merge these 3, despite the fact I think they are all the same red tier 2s. Well, when in doubt, spawn more planets and hope for the best. I bet we can make these go so fast eventually that they're circling at light speed and just a blur of planets, and everything on board is going to die. And the bigger our numbers get, the more the 3% increases here are going to mean for us. We're already up to 76.1 per second, that put us up to 78.4, so it only takes a few seconds to earn another upgrade. Now we're up to 81. But we need another planet, and then we need to merge those planets into another red planet. 2,100 for another planet at this point, but that did add like 7 per second, so new planets are still worth a lot. But given the price of these, it's actually more efficient to upgrade these for now. But this should put us, up to $101 per second, so that's pretty good earnings. Upgrades are getting pretty expensive, but the more these 3%ers have increased, the more each individual planet is going to add. Like we just broke $100 per second, and now we're already up to 117, so that's a 17% increase in the last like 60 seconds. I bet you've never had this much fun watching circles go in circles. But since we had earned over $10,000, we unlocked a new system. The planets cost $8,000. And all the other upgrades are alarmingly expensive. But at least we've got lots of unlockables. These ones cost trillions of dollars, these ones cost hundreds of trillions, these are quadrillions. This one looks like something I would create in Universe Sandbox where I hope the planets would collide. And in fact, I hope they still do. An $8,000 planet here takes us from 116 to 1.4 thousand. It's getting late and I'm running low on caffeine, so the names are going to get worse and worse as time goes on. But this new planet did actually add a lot of value, so going from 1400 to 2600 per second. So I feel like our first little galaxy is going to be left behind. We're going to combine those for up to 6400 per second. This planet is going to be named Purple.
Because I'm very creative.
So $6,400 per second, so we're going to spawn a new planet quite easily, and then another one soon after that. The money's going to go up really, really fast. $9,000 a second increases the speed is starting at $5,000, so that puts us up to $10,000 a second. 10 seconds will get us 100 grand. We can also increase our income. That's not hugely worth it, but it's fun to click on things. Speed is probably more so worth it, but probably more so adding planets is going to be the biggest boost. Adding one of these added like $1,600 per second, so those pay for themselves rather quickly. Back in our first solar system, planets only cost $4,100, so we're going to go ahead and throw a few of those into the galaxy to see if we can create a black hole. Things got expensive quickly, and then we can't actually fit any more planets in, so we're just going to make them go as fast as we possibly can. We spent a little over $250,000 doing this so far, but doesn't this galaxy seem more fun? We spent like $1 million here, and we made no earnings whatsoever. So we should probably stick to the galaxies that are actually going to make us some money. After doing all that, 18,000 per second, plus we can increase our income some more. $750,000 passed, so we're going to add one planet. You know what? We might save up and add 2 planets just because we can. We're already over 20,000 per second, so it doesn't take long to pay for these. That new planet added about 10% extra earnings on top of that, so again, they're paying for themselves really, really quick. 3% increase, that added about $600 per second if I read that correctly. If we merge the planets, that adds extra earnings, 27,000 per second. Actually, we can merge these 3 together too. I think our earnings just went down a lot. This one looks like Earth, but kind of worse. Stupid worse Earth, making our earnings go way down. That actually like halved our income. But when I need to be cheered up, I go back to this disaster and just watch it go. Imagine living here in one of these planets, knowing that at any point it's going to crash into one of the other planets and eradicate all life. Like 400 billion lives are going to end in an instant just because it's unbalanced. Oh, we finally made enough to add a new planet back to this stupid galaxy. I guess we'll start doing that to put our money back. $1.1 million for a new planet. I want out of this galaxy now. And another planet, plus we're going to merge those. So now we're up to 21,000 per second. So with earnings, they're getting back up there again. So while we wait, income is going up and so is the speed. That added a little over 1,000 per second. So not hugely worth it, but still something. Finally made another $2.2 million, so we can spawn a new planet. As soon as that somehow registers, there it is. Up to 25,000 a second again. But our most valuable planet does have the longest orbit, so I'm kind of thinking that if we increase speed, that will help its orbit go faster, therefore making us the most money, the most efficiently. This is just a theory, and I'm usually often wrong, but that did add $800 per second. In comparison to an increase to income, which matches 3% of the other one, it actually added 7% per second, so they're both pretty equal. I got tired of this stupid galaxy, so we're moving on to the $5 million pink galaxy. The first planet only cost $225,000, so we're definitely buying one of those. We have a $52,000 income, all thanks to the new ugly planet, and we're definitely going to buy a few of those, and our income went up to $100,000 per second, so 10 seconds makes us $1 million. And if we merge those together, income stayed exactly the same so far. This one looks like an ice cube, so we're going to call it Ice Cube Planet. But then it's just that easy to buy new planets again, because it really only takes us a few seconds to buy more, so this is a good galaxy. In fact, it might be my favorite. We're up to almost 200,000 per second. So once we buy another one, it's only going to take 5 seconds to make $1 million. Perfect. And then we can even increase our income, and every time we click on this, that's actually going to add several $1,000s per second. Easy enough. We just increased our earnings by 15%, and that's still going up because we can almost buy these upgrades within a few seconds after running out of money. We'll merge some of these planets, our income stays the same. We only need $3 million to buy a new planet. Even we now have over $6 million, we could buy that now twice. $311,000 per second. So it's only going to take a few of these to put us up to $330,000, so it only takes about 3 seconds now to make $1 million. And that seems like a nice even number to let the game run on for the next 12 or so hours, so we'll come back to a whole boatload of money, while also adding another planet first. I might have gone a little bit overboard, and we now have 16.14 billion. So we could probably just move on to an entirely new galaxy. 500 million, I think we can afford it. And every planet we add here is adding an incredible amount of earnings. So naturally, we're just going to call it like it is. We bought the money planet, and we're going to buy 3 of those. That puts us up to $2.2 million per second. Then every 3% increase on top of that adds about $100,000 in earnings. But then we also have the ability to merge those planets together, which put our earnings down, but we got a new planet. This can be the extra money planet. Even though it by itself is worth less than the 3 planets that merged into it, whatever the case, we're just going to keep buying things because we can. So we're up to about $4 million per second, and the next planet system is only 10 billion, so we can actually afford this, and I have $6 billion left over. So at this point, I'm definitely pretty much broke, but at $4 million per second, we're going to make it back. Now, if we buy a new planet for $2.4 billion, that added like $100 million in earnings. So we're just going to go ahead and call this one the good planet, and I feel like I need to buy more of these. So if we do that, and we can't even afford the next planet, actually we can now, but now we make $1 billion every 2.5 seconds. This is definitely my new favorite galaxy, even better than the one I currently reside in, because it doesn't pay me $550 million a second. And buying planets is still wildly cheaper than a 3% increase, and obviously it's quite cost effective because look at all that money. We're going to jam as many money balls into this thing as we possibly can. $1 billion a second, thanks to duplicating Earth 9 times. So now it takes us about 15 seconds what it took us like 36 hours to do last time. And if we combine 3 of the planets, earnings goes down slightly. But we have more space for more basic planets, so the gumball planet gets put into place, then we're going to add 3 new planets, and our earnings are higher than ever, 30% increase. The next one is $500 billion, and it's got 2 little orbiting balls. A 3% increase for $10 billion is not really worth it. We're better off to combine and merge planets still. So we're going to merge 3 more of those. That's going to give us the room to buy 3 more, and this galaxy is getting full. I zoned out in a coffee-induced trance for a second, and now we have $130 billion, so we're going to merge more planets. You know, we're going to do that twice, and then we're just going to replace 6 planets, because I'm pretty sure we can about afford that. These very symmetrical planets now earn us $2.4 billion every second. But going back to the previous solar system, I noticed there's more tracks for planets, orbits on the very outside. So I'm kind of wondering if I spend some of my $150 billion fortune, if we can add some planets to the outside. This is a new planet. This is the outside planet. It doesn't even get capitalized or spelled right. This is still going to get expensive. Like, this is a pretty basic galaxy in comparison now. I guess we are making $2.4 billion a second though, so we really can just buy all of these that we want. So we got 3 oranges, that's going to make another blue, so we need a lot more of these planets. Luckily, it only takes a second to make like 10 of these. So there's 3 oranges, those are going to combine into 3 blues, $2.4 billion a second we combine those, and it didn't even adjust our earnings. So this is just another dumb planet because we merged all the way to here for no reason. This planet is my money maker. We're going to merge 3 more of those together, and then we're going to add another 3 for about $100 billion. Now we're up to $2.7 billion a second. We just passed the $500 billion mark, otherwise known as half a trillion, so it means we can buy the dual ball system. So unlocking it initially has not affected my earnings, but buying a simple $2.4 billion planet probably will. That added $100 million in value. This one is very bleak, so we're going to call it the bleak planet. So we're just going to start popping in planets there because we're getting filthy rich no matter what we do at this point. I feel like given the cost of merging, maybe merging is what's going to be a boost to that. Nope. That's just an unnamed planet now, I guess. So we're just going to keep merging those together. I feel like this galaxy is messing with me. Like, the planets are very cheap, but they're not really bringing me a lot of earnings. We are up to $4 billion. That reminds me of ice, so we're going to call it the ice planet, and then we're going to buy some more. $4.9 billion a second, that's now dropped, but once you buy a few more planets, we're up to 5.1. Make that $5.2 billion every second. And then we can start spending $10 billion to increase income. That adds $100 million value each time we click on one of these. So we can click on these a few times. They're not going to be cost effective very long, but that put us up to about $6 billion a second. We'll maybe do the same with the previous galaxy because these are pretty evenly matched for some reason. So we just add a bit of value there. 6.5 billion per second. And we're going to do it a few more times because I can't help but touch things when they turn green. I did also want to go back to our original galaxy because I feel like we can increase the speed quite a lot and have these planets really doing something fantastic. Upgrades are actually at max, but the people on those planets are probably getting dizzy. All life on these planets has been ejected out into space, never to be seen again. I'm definitely still confused by this. This was a very, very expensive galaxy, and it's really not making us much money in return. But all I can do is keep buying things and waiting. If there's one thing we have, it's too much time on our hands. So I managed to get 3 planets to the outer layer. That put us up to $7.1 billion per second, so it takes over 10 seconds to earn the money we need for a new planet. But the earnings, we're probably better off doing these ones now. These still cost $30 billion, but they do bring us up by $100 million value each, so we'll keep doing it. I've decided to use what we'll call an alternative strategy to getting a little bit ahead on our income. We're at $9.4 billion per second, so with a few of these, $10 billion every single second. A few minutes of the waiting game later, $35 trillion, and that means we can buy a $5 trillion system. Every planet here is adding many billions per second, so we're just going to call the planets billions planets, or something thereabouts. Every time we buy one of these, we add about $2 billion per second, so that feels good. So a few of these later, we're making $27 billion a second. Every 3 seconds, about 100 billion. But I also realized that I can buy an entire new system for 30 trillion. The new planet is going to cost 2.9 trillion, but I bet that's worth it. So we'll unlock the system and play the waiting game again. I've already made a further $1 trillion, so it's not going to take long to wait. In the meantime, I can spend $45 billion on a minor upgrade, which actually makes a considerable difference. Probably actually worth it to click on this a couple times. And a new planet on the new system is going to take us from 29.7 to $103 billion a second. This is simply going to be a smiley face planet for the amount of value it's about to get us. That just tripled our income with a single planet. A few alternative purchases later, and we're up to $546 billion a second. So 2 seconds is $1 trillion. or whatever these purple crystals are supposed to be. So the trick now is to just keep adding planets. 620 billion, if we merge them, that dropped us a little bit. So this is ugly planet, but we mostly make ugly planets so we can get room for better planets. So then our earnings can go up even more, almost $1 trillion per second at this point. This costs 3 trillion, that actually adds lots of value in itself, so we'll click on this a few times. I decided it would be worthwhile to get 6 times income for like 15 seconds, so we're going to go ahead and enjoy that. So we're currently with the boost, $9 trillion a second, and I forgot about stamina already. But that helped jump us up to $170 trillion, so we're going to merge a few planets together, then buy a whole bunch more for our earnings to be higher than ever before. We're well over $1 trillion per second. In fact, we are 30% over, 1.3 trillion per second, and we actually have 3 planets we can merge into an outer layer. Instead we're doing the purple planets first, because the game wants to annoy me. But now when I merge these two together, we'll go from 1.1 trillion to 1.2 trillion. We have sort of a pinky planet, so pink planet it is. And then we have some room for some new planets again, so almost 1.5 trillion every single second. At least when I have lots of room in this inner orbit, it's very easy to add lots of income. Just a few dollars spent and we'll replenish that in no time at all. About $70 trillion on 2 new planets, almost $2 trillion a second at this point, so that feels good. We're going to click on these until actually we're well past that number already. I'm really just happy I got to show you so many balls today. For $600 trillion, we get a new system that's a dual ball system. The planet here costs $20 trillion. That'll take us from 2.2 to $7.2 trillion a second. So that's a $5 trillion planet. So we're probably going to need a few of those because our earnings just went absolutely bananas. Better make that $32.2 trillion a second with a few little adjustments. Now 3 seconds is $100 trillion. And some of these are still so cheap, like this is still only $14.3 trillion, and every time we click on these, it's going to make the ones up here worth a lot more. If we merge 3 planets, we went backwards just a step, so we'll call this the backwards, planet. But we're into the quadrillions of dollars now, and we're still buying planets. We're going to merge a few more of those, and we're going to keep going. We have some planets on the 3rd layer by now as well. But we've officially hit $100 trillion a second, so every 10 seconds, 1 quadrillion. And we can still do a lot better than that. Given we can buy 3 of these upgrades per second, I might as well start clicking away. And I'm not going to stop until something breaks. Or the upgrades themselves cost about 1 per second. So I have to slow down to 1 per second. A minute later and our high value planets have earned us enough to buy a $60 quadrillion system. This one already has a broken orbit, so that's going to be a lot of fun for the planets. So we're going to go from 340 trillion to $1 quadrillion per second with this. Simply the Great Planet, but I'm pretty sure I can use this and we can just make absolutely ludicrous amounts of money. So all of these make us $6.3 quadrillion per second, so it only take 10 seconds to save up the entire money we needed for this system, which took us many hours until now. If we combine the planets, that actually drops a little bit. We'll just go from Astral Zenith, and then we're going to buy 3 planets to replace that. While I'm at it, let's increase the speed a little bit, because each one of these makes the numbers go bigger, and I'm addicted to that. They have a start on this one as well. So after all that, we're at $15 quadrillion per second. Then we're going to merge a few more planets together. Actually, we're going to merge one more beyond that. That's going to drop our, actually that did increase our earnings, Nebular Citadel. Then we'll add some more planets back in to make up for the losses we had there, but we got 1 tier 3 planet. It gets really expensive to get any at that rate, but I guess we're making money to replenish our losses anyway, so what does it matter ultimately? I do kind of want to see what's on the outer tier of all these, but it's going to be very expensive to make one of those planets. But I guess I have time. Time really is about the one thing we have, and that actually went way quicker than I thought, because I can't visualize or plan anything at all ever. So here's a new planet that dropped our earnings by quite a bit, but it gives us extra room. Shimmering Stellaris. Stellaris, I don't know what it's called. I don't really care at this point. More planets. So with the inner ring full, we're up to $36 quadrillion per second, and now we can just click these 2 a few times, and we're actually out of upgrade money for the first time in a while. But $42 quadrillion a second is actually pretty good. I'm quite satisfied with that. Enjoy these balls.